The conversations and the perspectives today were really interesting. They were great. I think they were very informative, and I think it really helped a lot of people better understand the problem. So, international business, immigration, education, healthcare, financing, the cost of living, the cost of doing business, rent, labor, staffing. All things that we talk about, all things that people are frequently complaining about, and all of them, I would suggest, have one thing in common. And that one thing cuts across every one of them, and for which we still have no sufficient solution, and that is housing. It's at the core of all those things. We talk about housing, but usually in fragments. Rent increases, if you can find a place, mortgage amounts, if you can get financing, the need for more space, or the pressure to downsize. Again, my voice. Is it cheaper to keep it, or better to let it go? And what actually happened to all that housing that we used to have? Where did it go? If nothing else, please remember this as a takeaway. Target population, 70,000 people. Units needed, 2,500. Current build rate, 7 units per month, and at that rate, 30 years to satisfy demand. It is unimportant whether these numbers are accurate to the number. And there are those out there who are going to do dumb stuff by making you be very distracted. The purpose of this is to galvanize people behind an idea so that we can all have a better understanding of the scope and then marshal our resources to try and deal with the scope of the issue. To argue about a silly number is silly and it's distracting, and we're just going to delay getting to the solution stage. And it's all about the solutions, before I die, hopefully. I'm old. Seriously, you not laughed at that? So, I have the problem of being solution-orientated, which really frames, I guess, my personality and my attitude and some of the crazy stuff that I would say. But it's really about how do we move this along, because it's like a tidal wave, right? The issue of housing is really misunderstood by most. And we have so many people that are saying, ooh, new beach, and are walking out onto the beach when they should be running for something higher. We're doing it wrong. We don't really understand, and there's danger. I don't think people understand the danger. So it's important that we move. It's important that we move faster. It's important that we're effective and efficient as we move. We need to go past just conversation. We need to get to solutions. It's important. And we are a people that would love to get together, talk something, put something in a binder, put the damn thing on the shelf. I'm not here for that. It's not my personality. I will fight against it. So I'm here to help move. So all this and more is why today's event matters, and why this event dovetails really nicely into the Chamber's next activity. So next month, the Chamber's going to do round 3, a deep dive into Bermuda's housing crisis. We've been working on it for a while. We've got a ton of data. And some of the things that you said today will add to that so that you can understand the width, the breadth, the depth of this as a situation. And also so that we don't fall into the trap of thinking that we can actually address one issue in one topic as a silo. They're connected. The thing over here is connected to a thing over there that you might not even know about. You solve that, you created a problem over here. So you need to understand that the breadth of it all. And we've done some work around that. So during our session, we're going to explore the data that we have and the dynamics. We'll tackle the impressions and the perceptions. We'll dispel some myths. We'll expand your understanding of the depth and the breadth of the issue and confront some inconvenient truths that have to be faced if we're going to be serious about the solutions. I didn't hear anybody yell at anybody today, so I'm not so sure they really got into the depth of it. If you were here earlier, you know what I'm saying. So let me say some inconvenient stuff. Bermuda is the victim of its own success. What do I mean by that? The success of international business growth. Bermuda's international business sector has grown significantly, creating thousands of high-paying jobs. The success drives up the demand for housing, especially high-end and subsidized rentals, which displaces local renters, pushes up the price beyond the reach of the average Bermudian. It's true, it's not nice. Let's throw in that IB gives out housing allowances that the local economy does not. Just piss everybody that's local right off. But you cannot deal with that the wrong way unless you want IB to leave. So we have to understand it, and we have to accommodate it. It has to be talked about. It has to be said out loud. Not shouted out loud, but we have to say it and understand it. Another one. Aspirational living and household inefficiencies. Bermuda's success has allowed for upward mobility, where our Bermudian friends and family have been able to afford larger and more desirable homes. But also, this leads to inefficient use of housing. There's a growing number of 1- and 2-person households occupying 3- and 4-bedroom spaces. Should we be mad at that? How does it inform what we're going to build? How are we going to treat that next? Aspirational living standards. Economic progress has allowed more residents to afford larger and more desirable homes. It leads to inefficient use of stock. How do we handle that? Somebody said to me, we should do something about the people that own more than one house. Okay, it needs to go on the list as a suggestion. It has to go up on the list. And then we have to debate the list. We can't be afraid of unpopular suggestions. It's got nothing to do with whether you agree with it or not. We have to put them up on a wall and then see how they all fit to create a net of a solution. Housing as a wealth strategy. Historically, home ownership in Bermuda was a pathway to generational wealth. Get a house and don't sell it ever. I remember my daddy saying it, and then the market crashed. He wasn't alive to see it, but it happens. How do we deal with that? How do we deal with the attitude of the grandparents and the attitude of the grandchildren nowadays? Tourism and short-term rentals. Success in tourism platforms like Airbnb allow property owners to earn more from short-term rentals than long-term leases. That has an impact. I'm not saying how great it is, but it has an emotional impact, if nothing else, on reduced housing availability for residents. How do we feel about it? Especially when it's our cousin that has one. Demographic shifts and longevity. Improved healthcare and quality of life means that people are going to live longer, often alone, often in homes that no longer match their needs. How are we going to build for flexibility? How are we going to deal with the fact that somebody in this room doesn't like their mama and is putting them out? And we've got to deal with that because they can't be in the hospital. The cost of healthcare, the cost of housing in healthcare by putting them in the hospital will ruin us financially. Legacy wealth from corporate sales. This one's fun. The sale of major companies like the Bank of Bermuda and Balco created millionaires. We took that money, probably bought some residences. Some people might have bought 6 and 7. How do you feel about it? What should we be able to do with our money? And how does that affect housing? All stuff that has to be said out loud, because we think it. And our solutions are going to affect people a certain kind of a way. And I said before, when we come to the table, everybody has to understand that they're going to lose a little something. Because we can't get any solutions with everybody digging into their heels and thinking that today's status quo is going to do something. It won't. I go back to the numbers. 70,000 people, just because. 2,500 units. We are currently building 7 per month. That means that we will satisfy this in 30 years. If we do that at this rate, IB will leave. They will go to Cayman. And then we're just, maybe we won. House, prices drop. Okay, fine, cool. Same page. So the goal is simple. Present the data, answer your questions, extract solutions, take these solutions into rooms where the decisions are made. That's what the chamber does. So we're having an event, June the 12th. We're going to have 2 sessions, one in the morning, one at lunchtime, where we're just going to go through the data, burn through it real fast, take about 90 minutes, where we can present the information, do a Q&A, and actually extract solutions. So we have a long, big list. Efficient and fast. We typically draw about 200 to 300 people per session, so that's maybe 500 people in the day. Policymakers, planners, lenders, employers, developers, crangos, and the public too, because we're serious about trying to get to solutions, so we can talk about the solutions, not talk about the talk. Anecdotally, I love the stories today, but we got to get past the stories because that's a candy. We need to get to the meat. I like meat. The meat's the solution. So if you listened today and thought, yep, that's the problem, or you thought, I've got an idea that can help, we want to see you there. If you're a skeptic, you should come for sure. And if you're just a little bit of creative or just crazy, we definitely want your ideas. So if this was an easy fix, it would have been fixed by now. So we do have to be courageous. We have to have the courage to hurt somebody else's feelings, not meanly, but we got to be able to say the stuff that has to be said. And I just want to thank Erika for the platform to invite you to the thing that's going to be next, which we are dovetailing off of what she started. So thank you very much.